Adventure games are timeless and appealing to gamers at a base level. Every video game is, in its own way, an adventure, but there are only a few games that can truly capture what it means to be an adventure game. These games tend to be heavy in exploration and most times lean on a deep story as well. Today, we will tell you about the top 10 adventure video games of all time. Number 10. The Uncharted series. Naughty Dog rose to fame through its creation of Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter for the early PlayStation consoles. The developer continued its masterclass of game development with the Uncharted series. The first of the series, Uncharted: Drake's Fortune, introduced us to the treasure hunter Nathan Drake. Drake's personality and obsessive desire for exploration led many to compare him to another legendary adventurer, Indiana Jones. It's been reported that the gameplay of the first Uncharted game was heavily inspired by Gears of War, enough so that the game was delayed until the Xbox title launched. Rumors have circulated since early 2021 that another Uncharted game was in the works, but nothing concrete has been revealed. Number 9. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Since acquiring the exclusive rights from Disney to develop Star Wars games in 2013, it's been a bit hit or miss for Electronic Arts. The company has struggled mightily with microtransactions that frustrated its player base, particularly with Star Wars Battlefront 2, but seemingly learned from its mistakes with Jedi Fallen Order. This new adventure took place after the Empire's rise, about 5 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. The game introduced us to a new young Jedi hiding from the growing Empire named Cal Kestis. After revealing his Force powers, Cal is hunted down by Imperial Inquisitors who were trained by Darth Vader himself. Jedi Fallen Order contains numerous environments that reward you for deep exploration. In August 2021, EA confirmed that the studio would continue to invest in the world created in Jedi Fallen Order. Number 8. Red Dead Redemption 2. Immediately following the critical success of Red Dead Redemption, Rockstar Games began work on developing the next in the series. Over 8 years of development later, Red Dead Redemption 2 launched to outstanding praise. The game is among the highest rated on Metacritic, and many pegged it as their Game of the Year in 2018. Despite having the number 2 in the title, Red Dead Redemption 2 is actually a prequel to the events of its predecessor. It follows the story of Arthur Morgan, a longtime member of the Van der Linde gang. Throughout the game, you eventually encounter John Marston, the protagonist from Red Dead Redemption. The game features an incredible open world with plenty of activities to satisfy your dreams of roaming the Wild West. Number 7. The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us isn't just the best adventure game according to Metacritic, it's arguably one of the greatest games ever made. The game is set 20 years after the start of a pandemic that turned many members of civilization into infected monsters. The game follows Joel as he attempts to bring a teenage girl, Ellie, across the United States. Ellie is immune to the disease and could help save others. The game was praised for its writing and storytelling, along with the excellent gameplay. Many fans of The Last of Us might have been satisfied with how the game ended, but Naughty Dog was determined to keep the story going. Set 5 years after the events of the first game, The Last of Us Part 2 continued Ellie and Joel's story, as the two tried to come to terms with the consequences of Joel's decision at the end of the first game. The Last of Us Part 2 expanded the amazing world of its predecessor, while also bringing the gameplay elements to modern standards. The enhanced combat mechanics and polished graphics, along with the emotional story, were enough for The Last of Us Part 2 to win Game of the Year honors in 2020. Number 6. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Arguably the greatest superhero ever created, Spider-Man has forever been a beacon for hope and an inspiration to do the right thing. The story of Peter Parker obtaining great power and with it great responsibility has lived with many fans for quite some time. Insomniac tackled the web-slinger with an amazing adventure that pitted Spider-Man against an assortment of villains, most notably Wilson Fisk, Mr. Negative, and Otto Octavius. Insomniac's first game ended with Peter taking young Miles Morales under his wing and teaching him the ropes on becoming Spider-Man. While many fans expected Miles to get his own full-fledged sequel, Spider-Man Miles Morales acted as a semi-sequel, with Miles protecting the city with Peter on vacation. It's an extension of the world previously established in the first game, so you'll be familiar with characters and locations. Both games are excellent for superhero aficionados and action-adventure fans alike. Number 5. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. From Spyro the Dragon to Sunset Overdrive, Insomniac has been responsible for developing incredible games since the late 1990s. Among those games are the Ratchet & Clank series, a buddy cop-type adventure through space with a cool talking Wombax and his trusty robot companion. The latest adventure for the two, Rift Apart, is described as being one of the best early exclusive games for PlayStation 5. It's known that Ratchet is the only Lombax in the universe, so Clank builds a device called the Dimensionator. This tool rips open a portal to access other dimensions, which will allow Ratchet to potentially find more of his kind. However, Dr. Nefarious steals the device and a wild adventure ensues, with Ratchet and Clank traveling through dimensions to protect all of the realities. Rift Apart also introduces Rivet, another Lombax that Clank encounters who, quite frankly, steals the entire show. Number 4. Horizon Zero Dawn. One of the biggest surprises of 2017 was Guerrilla Games' Horizon Zero Dawn. The original story introduced an instant fan favorite in Aloy, a young hunter trying to survive in an apocalyptic world infested with robotic dinosaurs. Horizon Zero Dawn was the developer's first game since Killzone 3. Overall, Horizon Zero Dawn received positive feedback with its beautiful open world and engrossing story. The success of Horizon Zero Dawn led to an expansion in the same launch year called The Frozen Wilds, and a sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, is scheduled to launch sometime in 2022. Number 3. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Considered by some not only to be the greatest game in the Zelda series, but also the greatest game ever created, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild presents an experience we've never seen before. It's a true open-world Zelda game that gives you the freedom to play however you want. Do you want to try and defeat Ganon right away? Go for it! The game gives you zero restrictions in how you can play Breath of the Wild, though it's certainly in your best interest not to dive headfirst into battle against Ganon. Breath of the Wild received tremendous praise in the games industry, claiming it was a massive achievement and milestone for open-world games. Exploring Hyrule has its benefits, like activating towers to unlock fast travels to various parts of the map, and clearing out shrines that reward Link with spirit orbs to increase his health and stamina. Breath of the Wild is a massive world that you can lose yourself in quite easily, which is the definition of being adventurous. Number 2. Ghost of Tsushima. A contender for Game of the Year in 2020, Ghost of Tsushima was an incredible tale of sacrifice. Controlling Jin Sakai, Sucker Punch Productions forced you to truly think about whether or not the ends justified the means in trying to stave off the ensuing Mongol invasion. In battling the Mongols, Sakai is faced with decisions that will ultimately save his people but damage his legacy and honor in the process. Ghost of Tsushima has stunning set pieces that change throughout your playthrough. Many different sets of armor can be obtained that will alter Sakai's appearance, as well as affect his attributes. Ghost of Tsushima received several accolades, including Game of the Year honors at the Tokyo Game Show. Number 1. God of War. The Slayer of Gods is also the Slayer of Games. Recently voted to be the greatest game of all time, God of War reintroduces us to the forgotten savagery of Kratos. Admittingly, Kratos is a bit more chill this time around as he and his son, Atreus, traverse through Scandinavia. But even though Kratos attempts to be a respectable father figure to Atreus, he soon realizes that sometimes violence is the only answer. Compared to the previous installments in the series, Santa Monica swapped out Kratos' signature Blades of Chaos for the Leviathan axe. Perhaps this one could be daunting to jump into because of how many games come before it. The story of Kratos before this game is extensive, and it could make you iffy about whether or not to jump in here. But there's nothing to worry about. Santa Monica Studio went out of their way to make it a standalone game. With that being said, understanding some of the stories will definitely enhance the experience for you. The entire game is presented as one tracking shot that never cuts. It makes for one of the most mesmerizing games ever. The game also featured plenty of RPG elements, such as combat upgrades that would affect varying playstyles. Santa Monica received tremendous praise and awards for God of War, and the sequel, Ragnarok, is set to launch sometime in 2022. Do let us know in the comments which of these you've already played. Thanks for watching.